What's happening, everybody? How are we doing? Grand Rising, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're at tuning in. I wanted to share in this video, you guys, talking about me, you, we, us. I think it's so important to connect these dots because right now what I'm noticing and observing within myself, and perhaps maybe you're observing out in the collective in your everyday reality, are a lot of synchronicities happening, a lot of connections happening, a lot of triggers happening. It's like a whole spectrum of emotions. And we tend to get lost in the whole aspect of things outside of us. So this is going to be a little deep dive here. We're going to be focusing on things that we can control, learning things about ourselves. I have a great little analogy, a breakdown that I want to share with you guys. It actually kind of came to me this morning while I was at the gym, believe it or not, in terms of the energy centers of our body with the energy centers of the world, and how things externally is a manifestation of the things internally. And one thing I've noticed in just the last few years of my journey and my awakening and my expansion, awareness, whatever word you want to call it, is the more I learned about myself, right? The more I learned about myself, how I operate, how I function, how I work, how my systems work, how my brain works, what's in my blood, what's going on in my energy, what's happening at the molecular level, the cellular level. And before your mind goes, oh, that's a lot to learn, one step at a time. Just like doing a Rubik's Cube with different colors is a lot to do. Well, you take one cube at a time, then you start putting those cubes together and the Rubik's Cube puts itself together. So what I've noticed is as I learn more about myself, as I learn more about, the conscious mind, the subconscious mind, things in my life and my embodiment, and at the cellular level, I talk about zooming in, at the zoomed out level as well. There was a lot of reflections in the external reality that I started becoming aware of, like technology, for example, right? You look at computers, look at cell phones, as much as we all talk about, EMFs and 5G and the things that are a little bit more quote unquote scary to people. At the same time, Wi-Fi signal. You guys are watching 43 people on here right now, which is divine angel numbers. You guys are watching this through a cell phone, through Wi-Fi, and we have this exact same technology within us. We've just never been taught it. We were told outside of us is how we're going to live our life. Things externally is what creates the internal. It's like everything's been flipped inside out. You guys comprehend with that? It's really been flipped inside out and distorted. So it's like we're looking at the world that's backwards. And what we think is right is being portrayed as wrong. What we think is truth is being portrayed as fiction. What we're portraying as science is being portrayed as illusion. What we're portraying as news is being portrayed as misinformation. Everything is flipped, right? So to flip it back, we're trying to flip things back externally. And that's where we get frustrated. And that brings forth, anxieties, confusion, conflict, disagreements, and so forth. So as I started learning, one, about my language that I was using, right, the word that I'm speaking, you've been on here for maybe about 5 or 10 minutes, and I've already spoken hundreds of words. And some of those words may have impacted you already, connected a dot for you already, maybe perhaps triggered you already. And that's beautiful. And that's just showing you the power of words, because you guys watching this or watching the replay, you have this exact same potential and ability to use these words as tools of empowerment, as tools of enlightenment, as tools of awareness, tools to ask proper questions in the time, in the space that aligns with the highest vibration. And so as I started then going deeper into myself and now learning about, let's say, for example, our chakra system. Now, I'm kind of a person, if you guys haven't noticed, that isn't perhaps all in or one thing and all into another. I'm really in terms scattered in a very, very good way. And I love the scatteredness. At first, it gave me anxiety and there were so many things to do, not enough time to do things. Now it's a blessing. It's a blessing to be kind of being put in different lenses, right? Financial lens, a health lens, a business lens, a spiritual lens, a mental, an emotional lens, a community lens, leadership, whatever it is, instead of just all or nothing. Right? And we're learning that we also have a lot more gifts. So what happened to me this rising at the gym, as I was working out, and it just kind of clicked on me. And I remembered, and I have this, this thing, this little banner. It's just the chakras, plain and simple. And I know there's people who think, different opinions about it. At first, I didn't even know what the heck that meant. I was like, what are those colors? Is that the rainbow? What's going on? And I started learning about it more. So to break it down in a simple way, these chakra systems, these energy centers, right? Well, maybe in another perspective or lens, a scientific one, it's your endocrine system. We have an endocrine system. I had no idea. Just like we have an endocannabinoid system. I have no idea. Just like we had a lymphatic system. I had no idea. I knew we had muscular and skeletal and a digestive and a circulatory, stuff we were taught in high school, maybe for about a month or a few days or one test. Yet the very things that make up you and me are bypassed unless you take, biology, go to a PhD, get this 4-year degree, which most can't even afford. Think about it, guys. There are people paying 6 figures going into debt and student loans to learn about themselves. And yet they're not even told the truth about how they operate or how they work. Therefore, their whole life, they're chasing information outside of them to come to that awareness and realization. All right, so let's bring it back to the body. The chakra system, which is fascinating, and I'm going to start at the root, right? The root cause of so much. And I'm going to give you guys tons of analogies because as you connect these dots within yourself, the external world starts to become a little bit more clear. You start seeing where these energies take place in our reality. We start seeing where these energies are actually stored in different parts of planet Earth, whatever you want to call it. Mother Earth, Mama Gaia, that's up to you to decide, right? There's ley lines, there's energy centers, there's ley lines, there's places where those that used to be quote unquote in power would put dark things on it. They would put perhaps slaughterhouses on it. They would put perhaps, there would be a war going on these ley lines. And these ley lines go ahead and manifest into our collective, right? Just like we have ley lines in our body. The ley lines in our body are meridians. So most of us don't even realize we have meridians. That's why acupuncture is so powerful. Well, years ago, if you tell me to go get acupuncture, I think you're crazy because nobody's poking me with a needle. Pause. That reaction, that word, that language that I spoke stemmed from a lack of awareness of something deeper that no one ever taught me, let alone the schooling system, the education system, health, anatomy, science, all these things, no chance. Why? Why aren't these things taught? More questions to ask. So if we can now look at what's happening in the world, how these ley lines are shifting, how the grids are shifting, the magnetism of the poles, the north and south pole are shifting, however you want to call it. Think positive, negative, right? Electromagnetic, dipoles, right? That balance. So bringing it back to us, if you look at the different chakras, quote unquote, by the way, you guys like my shirt? It's so cool. XRP with the Phoenix rising. I love it. Someone sent me an image of it and I just went online. I was like, Phoenix rising XRP shirt, boom, done. So red, right? The red chakra. Really starting with the root. Now, here's the thing. The quote unquote systems that we are speaking upon, that we're sharing truth upon, that we're shining light on, has been designed to keep people, in my opinion, right? And I didn't say this at the beginning. This is my lens, my perspective, my opinion, my awareness, my truth. Take what resonates, let go of what doesn't. This is what I see. We've been programmed to stay in that lower, not even vibration, just that lower aspect of self. The survival mechanism, okay? Now, root chakra, well, another word is your prostate, all right? Your glands, your ovaries, your testes, down there where it is shamed, it is abused, it is saturated with, sexual release and attacks from addictions and stimulation. You guys know what I'm talking about. We're also plagued with survival. Right? So now look at the monetary system, for example. You now wiped out an economy that was booming for people and you wiped out their income stream. You took away their business. You just dropped them way down into scarcity. We dropped way down deeper into our root where, yes, that is a grounding place. At the same time, notice when they say HELL is down there. Well, it's because everyone's scared. We're fearful. We don't feel comfortable. We don't feel safe. And yet we hold on to these traumas down here in our root, right? That's why a lot of men have prostate issues. A lot of men have testicular issues, sexual reproductive issues, attacking the endocrine system, right? And then so you have this root chakra that's been distorted and broken down, the prostate, the ovaries, the testes, the anatomy of the body for those that are more science oriented, because the science part of it really taught me a lot about the spiritual part of it. Spirit science. And I know a lot of science out there too has been manipulated and distorted, right? So again, use everything with discernment. It's so powerful in your growth. So as I learned about that, and I learned about the color red, and I think like blood, and I think, energy and power, right? That's the lower aspect, right? Maybe the shadow of that chakra, of that system, of that energy space in our body. Now, the beautiful part of it is we can transmute it, and we can clear it, and we can grow from it. We can become aware of it. We can harness it. We can heal it. We can love that space. And you start coming out better, and you start clearing that space down there, and you open up your hips more. That's why stretching, you guys, for especially men, guys, open up those hips. That's one thing. I was stiff as a board in my hips for most of my life. I didn't think of the benefit, not only the physical aspect, also the spiritual and emotional aspect, right? So that's the root chakra. Now we go up to the sacral chakra, and this is the creative energy, the sexual energy, another powerful one, right? One that has been really taken from both men and women. Men, for example, we've lost the ability to create many things in our life because we're giving away all our sexual energy to external stimulations, right? Pornography, sexualization, movies, rap videos, you name it. I can share this with you because I'm happy to vulnerably admit that was me, right? And it takes years. It took me quite some time to move through those. And then that kept me from being creative. It kept me from creating content. It kept me from creating businesses and creating systems and creating trainings. It kept me from growing. And it was distorted. It was taken. Not only was it taken, I gave it away. I didn't know people were taking $10 from me a day in terms of sexual energy, right? So that sexual energy has been stored. It's similar to like even the adrenals, the king of the stress hormones. Our adrenals really get shot. They get shot with anxiety, fear. They get shot with overstimulation, caffeine, right? Just imbalances of hormones, so to speak. So those are now exhausted. You know what I mean? So now you've got the root, you've got the sacral. Let's go up to the solar, all right? The solar system, or whatever you want to call it, the willpower. And you're like, no wonder it's hard for people maybe to get things done in life. It's hard for people to say, I choose, or I'm going to do this. I'm going to create my life today. Well, because of that, their gut, their solar plexus, the belly button, your umbilical cord where your mother gave you life through, right? The tree of life, whatever you want to call it, the placenta, whatever you want to call it, that has been distorted because, pause, let's zoom back out. Look at reality. Look at the GMOs. Look at the meat, dairy, and eggs that have been farm factoried. Look at the pesticides. Look at the mucus-forming foods, the starchy foods, the foods that you're finding in the middle of the grocery store. They create mucoid plaque. They create parasites. Some gnarly stuff that happens in our gut. And we have a long gut, guys. We don't have a gut that's designed to process certain foods for a long period of time. And hence that starts building up and the walls get thicker, right? And yet society then programs us, hey, get a six-pack. Hey, look a certain way. You see what I'm saying? See how they then shame you in a way for not looking a certain way. And then you don't have the willpower to actually make a change because internally what you can't see with your eyes, only your mind perhaps or meditation or just simple awareness, well, then you start seeing it. You start feeling it. It's heavy and you just want to eat more and you want to binge eat more. And again, I'm saying this out of experience, guys. I was the binge eater. I would sit down and have a couple thousand calories on a meal. I was programmed that way in terms of building muscle, losing weight, looking a certain way, getting a six-pack. I'm 6'4", 220 pounds. That's what I thought was the MO. So looking at the solar plexus, cleaning that out, creating more space there, your willpower skyrockets. That's a huge reason why me personally, I choose to fast. I choose to do intermittent fasting. I was a big breakfast junkie for many, many years of my life. I love breakfast. I'll be honest with you, whatever you want to call it. It's when I started doing these fastings, I started clearing space and I started having more willpower and the will to get up at 5 a.m., the will to, show up even maybe days I didn't want, even the will to actually say I need a break or I choose to take a break. You guys get what I'm saying? So that's the solar plexus. Let's go up to the heart now. Powerful one. Heart, H-E-A-R-T. You take the letter T, and this fascinated me with word magic. You take the letter T, right? Or you take the letter H, and you put it at the end. You now have earth. Now here's the thing. The heart chakra is green, just like our earth is green and blue, right? You start getting up to higher vibrations. Well, we forget that our pH of our body, the potential of hydrogen, balances about 7.35 pH. Well, we also forget that the Schumann resonance on planet Earth varies around 7.83. Look how close those two are. So now we're zooming back out, we're seeing that the Schumann resonance on planet Earth is very similar to the pH of the internal body. So you start really seeing these divine connections of Mother Earth and how we play a role in it, and Father, Son putting it all together, right? Mother, Son, Father, Son, Father, Mother, Son, right? All those different things that you've heard maybe growing up. So the heart being the largest magnetic field, right? Full of green. That's why I love, weird as it sounds now, I love chlorophyll. I love wheatgrass. I love spirulina. I love anything green. I love spinach. I love cannabis. I love all these things. And they open up my heart. Cacao, an amazing heart opener. Because again, for men and women, our heart space has been distorted. Why do you think they want us 6 feet apart? That's how far the heart radiates. They don't want you tapping in other people's heart fields. That's crazy talk, right? So opening up that heart, you can start seeing unconditional love in other people. And that's a tough one for me too to admit, right? Unconditional love. I had so many conditions growing up, you guys. So many conditions that, one, probably weren't mine. Two, were probably programmed into me. And three, I wasn't getting that biofeedback necessarily from you guys, from my community, from people I'm meeting now on this journey. And that really started to simplify things, right? So that's why we look at, wheatgrass, that's nasty. Pause there, zoom out, look at these references. They're going to start talking to you perhaps more. It's going to talk you right to your heart instead of your brain. Actually, your ego doesn't want to give up its certain things because it's used to it. It's addicted to it in a way. Now let's move up a little higher. Throat chakra. All right, now you're getting into the teals and the blues. You're starting to get a little bit brighter, speaking your truth. Many of us don't even realize that our larynx dropped many years ago. And when that larynx dropped, it allowed us to put vibration together to manifest out into words. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God, and so forth. Well, right now, a lot of people are either speaking their truth aggressively, hesitant to speak their truth, speaking their truth and backtracking, speaking their truth and hoping nobody makes fun of them, or just keeping it into a point where we have thyroid issues. We're starting getting hormone imbalances. We feel as if we're strangling ourselves because perhaps growing up, that wasn't the easiest thing to do was speak at the dinner table. You had to raise your hand in school or else you didn't get called on. So we've carried these things over, and when you speak that truth in that color teal and blue, it really starts to open up. And that's why I'm such a big advocate on hydration, because as you hydrate more and more, this energy is able to flow out of you better. You're creating a stream, right? That's why you say live stream on TV. You guys see the channel paid programming, your YouTube channel, your live stream. You guys get what I'm saying? You're streaming information. We just tend to think it's only something outside of us. You all have beautiful channels. You all have beautiful sources of information. You all have beautiful content and flows. It's just you reminding yourself of that, and you're letting yourself express it, and which we're all doing together. We're doing it slowly, but surely, one step at a time. And another thing my partner Jilly had taught me, which is so powerful, is that your throat chakra, your voice box, is connected really to your womb space. And it's like, womb space? Guys have a womb? Everyone does. Right? If you detach from what it truly means and just think of the content, express and be creative, if there's trauma down there, men and women, it's going to be hard to speak. So what's the best way to do? Boom. Face mask. They don't want people talking about this stuff. If you truly think it's to protect us from something that, well, not going to go down that quote unquote wormhole, so to speak, well, zoom out. There's another reason. They don't want people speaking about waking up. They don't want people asking questions about each other. That's why at the grocery store, you see so many people wearing these, masks, because they don't want people on aisle 4 talking about, hey, do you think that's true on TV? They don't want people doing that. So they're going to put it there, but yet no one talks about that. No one talks about that. Talk. No one talks about it. Talk more, ask more questions. You're safe. Remember, all this world is coming down to is an exchange of energies. We speak trillions of words a day, you guys. The average man, 10,000 words a day. The average woman, 15 to 20,000 words. I'll leave you with this. How many words of those are empowering? How many of those words cut you down? Simple as that, right? Now you're going up to the pineal gland. Now some people, third eye, that's dark magic. This is, okay, your pineal gland. Everyone has it, whatever you believe in or not. New age, old age, this age, next age, now age, fast forward, past future age. Cool. Age is age. Time is time. None of it really exists except for the now. That's why I say now Earth. now age. Who says new? Who says old? There's no such thing. We made time up a construct, and that's to pretty much take our power away. So our ability to see through the illusion, being able to see through the manipulation, seeing words for what they are, seeing images for what they truly are, seeing symbolism that arises, seeing how our external reality is actually reflecting our internal reality. And that's a beautiful thing. And that's why, the fluorides, the chemicals, the chemtrails are now, it wants to shut down your Wi-Fi, right? And you're getting more to the crown now, right? Getting more to that external Wi-Fi that you have complete connection to. Where do you think Wi-Fi came from? Where do you think internet dial-up came from? Well, it's a reflection of our connection, internet dial-up to source, to our own inner well of wisdom, to our own connection to God, creator, source, universe, divine, whatever word you want to speak upon it. So clearing your pineal gland, your pituitary gland, your hypothalamus, right? You start bridging the left and right brain hemispheres. We have multiple hemispheres. We have multiple aspects of our brain. And a few years ago, I think you're crazy. I have one brain. I don't have 5 brains. You're crazy. That word, that verbiage that I expressed came from a lack of awareness. It came from a lack of education and understanding about oneself. So many of you ask me, where do you get all this? I just learned about myself, guys. My bookshelf, half of those is full about the human body, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. That's it. I learned how my brain works. I learned how my body works. I learned how my lungs work. I learned how my lymphatic system works. I learned how my blood pumps. I learned what my heart does. I learned how my cells operate and communicate. I learned how I detox. I learned how I digest. I learned what foods are best for my state of being. I learned what foods did this. I learned what water did that. Instead of, where can I learn outside of me? What doctor can I pay for these answers? What guru can I sit with for a seminar to tell me all about me? Because he doesn't know. She doesn't know. She's not you. Just like I can't tell you about you. That's why I love learning from you guys. You guys tell me about me by being you. That's the divine reflections, right? So clearing up that third eye space, the pineal gland is huge. And then the last part to wrap this all up on this flow for you guys, which I felt was so powerful to share, just because you can really start tying it all together, is your crown. Corona, blank. Crown, corona, sun. Don't go out in the daylight, get away from sun, vitamin D. You guys are really seeing how this whole thing is orchestrated to keep us disconnected from God within. God outside, God all around, God in me and you. And it's so, so powerful that you start tapping into this because you have a knowledge, of infinite wealth of knowledge within yourself right now. You've got everything within you right now. It's actually recorded in you. You just got to hit record and press play and start reading it. Some people ask me, where are you getting this info? Yes, it's from reading. Yes, it's from, meditation and epiphanies and synchronicities. It's also, I see it. It's like if you guys, behind my phone, I feel like there's a teleprompter and it's just running, not with my eyes, with my mind, and more so in my right brain. Right? When you get out of the fight or flight and more into the parasympathetic, you start reading your own self. The parasympathetic's that feminine energy. It's the rest and recover. Well, society gets us caffeinated, stimulated, dopamine-aided, serotonin depletinated, chemical-laden, pharmaceutical-laden, heavy metal-laden, mucus, parasites, plaque-laden, stress, anxiety, fear. Well, that's all putting us in the left brain. So what am I supposed? There's no teleprompter you're reading. Your ego's reading something for you. Your lower self, the one that's been programmed, the virus in the computer, is reading something for you. Tapping in more to that right brain aspect. And the way you get to that right brain, you guys, you actually cross what's called the corpus callosum. And you can go look this up. It's the shape of a cross. I won't say anything else. Tapping into that, opening up your crown, right? That's why one of the biggest reasons of caffeine, and because when I drank caffeine, just even months ago or even the other year, I felt like my connection was cut because this was going so fast. This was just here chilling. My halo, whatever you want to call it, crown, it was offline. Got away from caffeine, stimulants, right? Which caffeine and stimulation, it's not energy. It speeds you up to disconnect you from your infinite immediate source to whatever you want to call it. That's just what I learned. That's what I experienced. Not only just learned, I experienced it. All right, so that there's a reason why that halo, we're been told in religion, the halo, it's why you see the crowns, right, around, biblical prophets and testimony, or, disciples, and all. They have like this halo. It's the crown. It's the aura. It's the energy. It's your ability to tap in and channel things, connect to things, because some people think channeling is a scary, dark word. Then pick a word that resonates for you, and that's your truth, and share it, because that can help someone connect their dots and help their truth. That's why I wanted to wrap this up, guys, with cleaning this all out, tapping into it, noticing the different colors, noticing the different vibrations, noticing the different energies, noticing the different light spectrums, and you really start to see you internally, and then you start to really see the world externally. And then you're like, that makes sense. Oh my gosh, I see it now. That's why they do that, to get that. No wonder that's put out there to block this. No wonder they do that to distort this. No wonder they cover this, right, to do that. And you start becoming the dot connector. I'm no doctor. I'm a dot connector. I don't have a PhD. I got a COB. Just come out better. Come out better. So I know this was powerful. Share this information, especially with someone who may be stuck a little bit. Just simple about energy, really about clearing your body, clearing your mind, body, and soul, tapping into your language that resonates at the highest truth within yourself, and knowing that anything externally now that comes into your bubble, that comes into your reality, that comes into your state of being, now you know so much about you, you now might be able to identify more about them than they even think. And without actually attacking them or saying they should do this and that, ask them some questions. Ask them questions. Hey, have you ever thought of this? Have you ever thought of that? What does this mean to you? Can I ask you a question? Do you mind if I share? Ask for consent. Right? It doesn't have to be in terms of sexual abuse or these criminal trials of consent. It's simple consent of energy exchange. Because you're going to get your answer, no, don't want to hear it, or sure. Because when you ask the question, I'll leave you on this. When you ask the question, you're going to get an answer. Whether that answer comes from their left brain, right brain, their lower self, higher self, their virus hijacked mind, or their clear, pure Wi-Fi signal to source in the divine, right? That's going to tell you a lot of answers, because questions allow God within others to answer. When we tell people what to do, how can God answer? Can't. It's difficult. Well, the other person's going to answer, and that might not be the best answer you're going to get by telling people what to do. Questions bring forth answers in others. Answers in others is God speaking through them. That creates progression. That creates productivity. That creates solutions. And if we're asking more questions today, and that's why Q&A, Q anonymously, question and answer, the best question is waiting to be answered within yourself. You guys are amazing. Have a good one. We'll see you soon. Share this video. Light someone up. Zoom in, zoom out. Light them up. Come out better. Love you, Dad. We'll see you guys soon.